Alright, everyone, we have finished learning the alphabet, which is super exciting. Now you know every single letter and every vowel and can hopefully sound out any Hebrew word you want to, but don't worry, we will keep practicing it. So here, for a little review, this will be a little longer video so we can review everything we've learned so far, and you can keep reviewing it over break and for the rest of the year. We're going to begin our review with a song by Debbie Friedman. Debbie Friedman was a Jewish singer-songwriter from the Reform movement, and she wrote a ton of really awesome music. So this is her Alef-Bet song, and it's a repeat after me, so I've grouped the letters into her groupings, so follow along and while you listen. Hope you enjoyed that. I really apologize for the audio cutting in and out. I do not know why it was doing that. I tried recording it many different ways. So that's what we've got. We'll listen to it in class though. So now I want to go on to a review of all the letters. And I'm going to group them not in the order of the Alef-Bet, but in letters that look similar. I know you did this with Mora Tikva one morning, but I want to do it again. So we're going to start with the letters that have something on top and something on bottom and look really similar to each other. So the letters we have in this category are Bet, we have Bet, we have Vet, we have Gimel, we have Kaf and Chaf, then Nun, Pei, and Fei. So I apologize, that's not the neatest handwriting, but our tricks to distinguish these letters, and all of them look kind of similar, except maybe Gimel. It was kind of unclear where to put Gimel. So our tricks for Bet and Vet compared to Kaf and Chaf. If anyone remembers, Bet and Vet have a tail. Kaf and Chaf have no tail, and by tail I'm talking about this little part right here. So our tricks to remember those are that animals with tails go to the vet, just like the letter vet. And we can remember Bet and Vet are different from each other because Bet has a belly button. They both start with B. And Kaf and Chaf, we remember the differences between Kaf and Chaf because I'll write that Bet has a belly button. Bet has a belly button. Kaf and Chaf have no tail. They're different from Bet and Vet that way. And they also look like backward C's, which helps with the sound, K or Ch. Backward C. Also, Kaf and Chaf, to distinguish between them, Kaf has the dot in the middle. This one is Kaf, and this one is Chaf. You can remember this one of two ways. You can either say it's like there's something in your throat and you have to cough it up, or you can say that there is a coin in the middle. Kaf has a coin. Coin, Kaf start with the same sound. Chaf has no coin in the middle, so it says Ch. And then we have Nun. One way we can remember Nun is just because it's one of the letters on the dreidel. Another very silly way to remember nun is that who knows what a palindrome is? If you don't know what a palindrome is, it's when the letters are the same forward and backward. So if I write the word nun, it's N-U-N, but if I write it backward, it's still N-U-N. Nun looks the same on the top and the bottom. It looks exactly the same. So it's a palindrome. And that helps you remember that the name is Nun. But you can also remember that it just has Nun, kind of sounds like the word none, which is what it means in the game Dreidel. And also, it just doesn't have very much of its legs. They're short compared to the other letters, like see how Haf and Kaf and Bet and Vet have much longer legs. By legs, I mean like that part there. Nun is just short. So here we go. Nun. So there's 3 ways to remember Nun. And finally, Pei and Fei. They look like Chaf and Kaf as well, but they have this inner part that comes around and in like that. I don't really have a good trick for remembering that, but for remembering the difference between Pei and Fei you can use the same trick as you used for Chaf and Kaf. Pei has a coin right in the middle, and what do you do with coins? You use them to pay. So that's our tricks for remembering these letters, which look kind of similar on the top and bottom. Our next group of letters is the letters that have just 2 lines, the ones that look kind of like that. So there's several that way. We have Dalet. We have Vav. And Zayin. Yud. Resh. And then most of our final letters look like this. So I'm going to just draw a line. And then here are our final letters. We have final Chaf. We have final Nun. We have, and we have final Fei. So these final letters are easy to remember because they go below the line. All the others just rest on the line, or Yud, in this case, Yud is way above the line. See if the line was there, Yud is way up there. Okay, so the ways to remember these different letters, I think Yud is easier to remember because it's just so tiny. I have a silly way of remembering Yud, but it involves advanced science, so maybe we'll talk about that in a few years. Yud, so that's Yud. Yud. Then we have Dalet, Vav, Resh, and Zayin. All look quite similar. How do we tell them apart? I think Vav and Resh and Dalet looks the most similar. So my tricks for these are that Resh is round. See how Resh is made up of one single motion, just like that? Whereas Dalet, you have a line there and a second line. Dalet is made up of 2 lines. Resh is made up of 1, giving it this nice round back right here. So Resh, round, both start with the same sound. Resh is round. And then we have, so I actually don't have tricks for Dalet, Vav, and Zayin. I wasn't able to come up with any, so if you have a trick that you come up with, please let me know, and I would love to share it with the class. Otherwise, Vav is a really common letter. You're going to see Vav all over the place, so hopefully you're just able to memorize it. When you see it, you know, oh, that's Vav. Dalet is like Resh, except Dalet is made up of the 2 lines, and Zayin, I don't know how to remember Zayin. It looks different from a lot of the other letters because it has this diagonal part here. So maybe you can remember it because it has the diagonal, and the letter Z has a diagonal line in it. I don't know. So on to our next group of letters. And then the difference between final Chaf and final Nun over here is that Chaf just has a longer line. Actually, Chaf, yeah, I don't remember. Chaf just has a longer line here. Nun is a really skinny line, and then down. Final Chaf is really common. You'll see that a lot. And then I'm going to go to a new page for our next groups of letters. Our next group of letters, we have 3 more groups. All right, in this group we have Hey, Chet, Tav. So just 3 letters in this group. And remember, Tav can have the dot or not the dot, and it still says T. The letter is still Tav either way. So I remember these. I say that Hey has a hole. So the letter is Hey, and it has a hole. And I'm talking about the hole right here in this corner. See this little gap? That's the hole that Hey has. This next one is Chet. Chet, someone said in our class, Chet kind of looks like a cat arching its back. And when a cat is angry, what does it do? It usually hisses. And when a cat hisses, it sounds like which is the sound that Chet makes. So if you remember, this looks like a cat arching its back. Or I'm going to say an angry cat or a scared cat. Angry cat. And that's the sound it makes. And then Tav. Tav has a tail. Right here, just in the same way that Bet and Vet had a tail, Tav has a tail. So that's how you remember that one. Those 3. And then finally, 2 more. Our next letter group are the ones that kind of look like circles. But not all of them do. So we have, I'm going to write from the other side. We have Tet. We have Mem. We have Samech. And we have Kuf. Why did my Samech delete? We have Samech and we have Kuf. So these ones, Tet, I didn't have a trick for Tet. I guess you could say that, like, it's a pretty normal looking letter except for this stuff at the top. Oh, I meant to do these letters in blue. Sorry about that. Except for this stuff at the top is looking a little funky. So top, Tet, same sound. The Mem, our trick for this is that it looks like a freestanding mailbox, like, I don't know, in your community. You might just see a mailbox on the street. Not like one at your house, but like a big blue postal box. It kind of looks like this shape, so mailbox, Mem. Samech says, and it looks like a combination of a circle and a square. This isn't great handwriting for it. It's easier to see in the book, but it looks like a circle or a square, or I guess a shape. All of which start with the sound or letter S. And then finally we have Kuf. I don't know if kuf really fits in this group either, but our trick for kuf, it looks like a P, but it says K, so how do we remember? Well, in sign language, as many of you knew, the sign in American Sign Language for the letter P is this. And for K, you flip it up like this. So P and K have very similar signs. They're just one way here, one way up, one way down. So that's how we remember kuf. And then last but not least, and we have our final letter, again, which falls into this group. Mem looks a lot like samech. It is just a square. It's hard to tell the two of them apart, so don't worry about it. If it's at the end of the word, it's probably a final mem. If it's anywhere else in the word, it's definitely a samech, because remember, final mem only goes at the end of the word. Final mem. And we have one last group of letters, which are the miscellaneous letters. Sorry, that's just a little tricky. So for our miscellaneous letters, we have Aleph, Ayin, Sadi, Lamed, Shin and Sin, and then we have our final Sadi. So you already know a lot of these. I know you have Aleph memorized. Aleph is our silent letter. If you want a trick for it, Aleph kind of looks like an X, and X often means like nothing's here, there's nothing going on, or you didn't do it, or whatever. So it's like silent, it's like nothing. Ayin is our other silent letter. If you want a trick for Ayin, it looks like a fish. And by that I mean like when you draw a fish like that. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of that. It's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of that. And if somebody were to say to you, what sound does a fish make? You might make a little sound, but really it's pretty quiet. It's silent. So Aleph and Ayin are our silent letters. Then we have our Tsadi. Tsadi, in class we decided, looks like a combination of multiple letters. It might look like a Z, it might look like a T, it looks like a Y, it could look like an X. I don't know. But the sound it makes is a TS or a TZ. So it makes a combination of two English sounds. I mean, we don't have that sound in English, so it's a combination of letters. So our letter is... Sorry, I don't know why my recording stopped during that. I'm just going to rewrite all our miscellaneous letters. We have Aleph, Ayin, Tsadi, Lamed, Shin, Sin, and final Tsadi. So we already talked about Aleph and Ayin, then we were talking about how Tsadi looks like a combination of letters. Tsadi and a combination of sounds. Lamed looks like a lightning bolt. If we just remember that, Lamed lightning bolts, I think that one's easier to remember. It's a fun letter, and it says L. And then we have our Shin and Sin. These are another letter on the dreidel. Well, Shin is on the dreidel, and you can remember that Shin has the dot on the right. If you are right-handed, that might be easy to remember because which hand do you pick up your pencil with? Your right hand. Well, it's backward in the video, but so that's your dominant hand, and Shin is a much more common letter than Sin in the Alef-Bet, so it's on the right. The right is more common than the left, and also in old legends and stories, the left, if you were left-handed, that was known as a sin. Not anymore. That's crazy. You can be left-handed now. I'm left-handed. But it used to be a sin to be left-handed. And funny enough, this letter is named Sin, so left is equivalent to sin. Obviously not anymore, but in old times it was. And then finally we have our final Tsadi, which again goes below the line if you're writing on a line. Final Tsadi. There you go. So that is our review of our letters. I really apologize that this is such a long video, but hopefully you watch it in different stages and can review it whenever you want. And now let's go on to our vowel review. Actually, I'll make a new video for vowel review.